On All Hallows Eve, when the moon is agleam, the gays dissect films on a pod called Let's Scream.
Films with werewolves and demons, zombies and witches. Spooky season is here, so get ready, bitches.
Who will survive? Which divas go down when a killer named Michael is let loose on the town?
It's finally October, and spooky's the theme. Our one question for you is, Are you ready to scream?
Oh, God.
Oh, you good?
Girls, sorry about that. I don't know what was in my throat.
Come on, girl, let's scream.
I am a god.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel. This is the part where you run.
Come on, scream.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Scream, a podcast where we dive into our favorite horror movies. I'm Parker.
And I'm Stevie.
Today, we are looking at 1935's Bride of Frankenstein, directed by James Whale.
Join us as we journey up to Frankenstein's castle and learn all about the Bride of Frankenstein. Are you ready to scream, girl?
Oh, I'm ready to scream, girl. Come
on, girl. Let's
scream.
It's finally October.
We're in spooky season.
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited.
Me too. So all this
Brat summer is over. Christian Girl Autumn is here.
I literally feel like her. Like, it's storming outside.
Yeah, we're getting the remnants of the hurricane where we're at.
Yeah. So you might hear some thunder clapping and some rain in the background.
But I'm excited for our Halloween.
Me too. It's the best time of the year, I think.
It's been a year, right? Has it been a year? Almost a year?
We're almost at 1 year of Let's Scream.
That's crazy.
We're almost at 50 episodes.
We're almost at 50. We have something special planned for episode 50.
We do.
But we'll get into that when we get to episode 50.
50, yeah.
Oh, but I'm so excited.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
All this month for the podcast, my plan is some iconic, I don't know, like, what would you call, like, public domain? I was kind of thinking
just
all
like
those.
your staples, like Halloween monster staples.
Yeah. So, like, we're going to do Frankenstein, obviously. We're starting with The Bride of Frankenstein this week. And then we're going to feature movies that have, you know, some of those characters.
Werewolves, ghosts,
witches, and shit
and
like that.
Whatnot.
Not vampires this year.
No vampires.
I'm a little vampired out right now.
Don't worry, because we have a very special March plan.
We have a plan.
Probably like 10 minutes before we were recording this.
We're like,
what we're gonna do in March, and y'all. Oh,
you're gonna
be good.
see some vampires, so get fucking ready.
Plenty of vampires.
So anyway, yeah, let's get onto the subject of our movie at topic. It's The Bride of Frankenstein. We're starting with a classic. This is the oldest movie that we've covered on the podcast. It is based on the earliest horror story ever written, science fiction story.
Yeah.
Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, who's in this movie. Now, okay.
Not her, but like...
Yeah, but you know.
But like, there's a character.
She's in it. But yeah, it's one of those movies that influenced the genre so much. The first Frankenstein, in my opinion, is like spooky and whatever. But Bride of Frankenstein, for me, is the one. Like, this movie is so funny. They decided to like camp it up for this. Yeah. And they gave the director, James Whale, complete creative control. This movie is like super queer too, which is why I like it. Like there's a lot of queer theory that's come out of it that I thought was fun, like exploring and watching videos about.
Yeah.
In preparation for this. Yeah, I just think it's like a good spooky time. And
yeah, I like this is my first time watching it. I liked it, but I mean, it's a 1930s movie, so, you know, what you see is what you get.
Movies were different back then.
Yeah.
You know?
I will say, I rented it on YouTube, and I did watch it at 1.5 speed.
Sometimes that's how I have to get through old movies.
Like,
Listen, we're part of a generation that has no attention span.
No. Oh my God. Oh, bitch, did you hear that the Wicked Part 1, 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's longer than the fucking stage show. And then I also brought it up to Keaton today. How the hell are they going to make a movie out of the worst, with all the worst songs when they do the second one? There's only one good song in the second act.
Ever since I heard that was going to be split up into 2 parts.
Why?
I have been petrified for this movie.
2 hours and 40 minutes. I'm sorry. If your movie's over 2 hours, there needs to be an intermission.
And maybe they will. That's the only way I could even think to justify making a movie that long.
I'm not watching. I mean, I was not going to go see it anyway, but I'm like, I would never sit down and watch something that long.
You would literally need to schedule a time in the movie to be like, okay, the characters turn to the audience. Go piss, girl. We all get up and
we'll
go
wait.
piss.
We'll give you 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's just... that's
so
ridiculous.
this movie is nice and short.
Exactly.
The Bride of
Hour
Frankenstein.
15. I still have to watch it at 1.5 speed.
They talk. Listen,
I mean, it's a 45-minute movie.
The way that olden times people talk, okay, you kind of have to take
speed it up.
Speed it up a little bit. But that's okay. Like, I love this movie. Like, I think this is one of the best older movies.
Yeah, no, I think... listen, the practical effects they did in this, great. The makeup in it, great.
The sets.
The sets are amazing.
Sickening sets. Oh my
Everything
God.
about it's really... There's a scene we'll get into, though, where the practical effects, I was like, that's, for the time, is like... I think you probably know what I'm talking about. Like, it's really like, wow, for that time is phenomenal. Like, to know how to do that. I was thinking, we'll get into it, but I was like, I think I know how they did it.
That's more so like the perspective I take when looking at these old movies is just appreciate the art and the craftsmanship.
I mean, like, that's why I love Wizard of Oz. The scene when it turns into color, when you learn that it's the inside of the house, the way they did that is everything was painted sepia tone.
It's actually brown, guys.
They painted it sepia tone so that when she opens the door, you see the color. It's like, it's such a creative... It's so smart, and it's just amazing.
That's the thing I'm missing in Hollywood right now. Like, when I'm watching movies...
color, just like, I mean...
Yeah,
bring
color.
back. I know you can't do Technicolor anymore. Like, the technology doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
But... you need to bring, like, oh my God, you can edit your films
no
to look that way.
We had bright colors in Pearl. That's why I love Pearl so much. That's one of the reasons, many reasons why I love Pearl.
Yeah, we were, sorry to distract from this. I'm just keep bringing up, but like, we started watching that, because it is spooky. Agatha All Along, it's the new Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
It was fun. Like, I'm not a Marvel bitch. I've never seen WandaVision.
Yeah,
but
same.
Also,
I'm not like
it has that shady blue filter. It's like, no.
I'm tired of the filter.
That doesn't make things spooky.
It just makes me feel like I have like weird tinted glasses on or something.
Mm-hmm. Let's get back into art.
Yeah, so...
I mean, do you have anything else to really say about the movie?
Not yet. When we go through the story, I'll bring out
stuff.
So,
I mean, I'm ready to get into the story.
I'm ready to
Sorry to get distracted, y'all. This was a really convoluted intro.
Hey, that's okay. It was a good, like, rehash, honestly. We were so busy with the musical shit.
Oh, my God. Oh, I think that was also, like... Y'all, I'm so glad the musicals are done.
I could tell you were hating it.
Oh, I love Rocky Horror. I like Rocky Horror.
Rocky Horror is great, yeah. Really quick, too. Sorry, we're on another tangent, but we have the time, whatever. Yeah. This is going to be,
such a
short movie.
And it's literally like, this happens, that happens, then that.
We got a comment, bitch. We can do some Scream mail. This could be a time
my God,
for
wait.
Scream mail.
Thank you for our listener for sending in mail to us.
Okay. Caleb Leland commented, I think this is directed towards you, Stevie. Is there any way a cishet ally like myself can get a permit to still get to watch this classic? Talking about Rocky Horror. But then said, great review. Heart. Love. Thank you, Caleb. What do you think, Stevie?
No. No, Kayla, you can't. Caleb. Yeah, Caleb, you can. Sure.
There you
go.
There you go.
Just keep it to yourself. How about that?
And don't do the time warp in public unless you know the moves. Okay, so thank you again, Caleb, for the comment. We love comments on Let's Scream.
Yeah, honestly, y'all, like, if you comment them, you don't have a lot of competition, so we'll see them.
We will see them.
And we will read them.
And we want to hear your feedback. We'll read them on the pod.
Tell me if you like me or not.
We want to get that engagement. So please like and
comment.
Without further ado. Oh, it's spooky. Do you hear that storm outside?
You know what that means? It's time to get into this.
Are you ready to scream, girl?
Yep, I'm ready to scream. So if y'all don't want spoilers for this movie that came out over 80 years
Almost
ago.
100 years ago.
Over 80 years ago. Then turn off your mother effing
cameras
right now.
If you don't like swearing or angry people from Wisconsin, then turn your mother effing camera off now.
I love her.
I love her too. Angela. Another iconic Angela.
The candle vlogger.
I've decided everybody named Angela.
Angela is just kind of iconic.
Yeah, it's an iconic name. But yeah, we're getting into spoilers. So without further ado, we open on
some Victorian home.
hunties hanging out. This is such an interesting pairing. So it's Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, her husband, and what I assume is their third.
The Baron?
Lord Byron. Yeah.
Lord Byron. Lord Byron.
That has to be what's going on here.
Yeah, it's like, wait, where are you? And it's like a stormy night. She's embroidering.
Yeah.
Her husband's playing piano, right?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but like everyone in this movie is gay.
Yeah.
Like when you read
Queer
into
coded.
it for 2 seconds, you're like, oh, this is an open relationship.
Yeah.
And apparently the director, because at the time, it was
Don't ask, don't tell, girl.
It was 1935. So he was an openly...
So you just went to the gentleman's club.
Oh. But he was openly gay.
YMCA.
Actually openly gay.
Wow.
And a lot of the other casts in this movie either were very heavily rumored to be gay or did eventually come out. So there's just like a lot of queer, and the director was like, no, I didn't want to make anything gay. Like I made a very conscious decision to just make it spooky and not think about like queer subtext.
Just happens that spooky stuff is very gay.
Well, there's that. And I think that like as an artist, any part of you is going to bleed into your work. Like that just happens.
Like, girl.
Yeah. So I find this to be an interesting like watch because of that too. I forgot to say that in the intro, but we'll get into some of the themes as we go. They're talking about the story Frankenstein that she created. Yeah. And they're like, basically do like and that's what you missed on Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Like moment where you get like a little montage of the plot of the first movie.
This is a direct sequel. Which I don't know if we mentioned that in the beginning, but this is like a direct sequel.
Direct sequel to the first one, yeah. And Mary is like, oh, well, y'all wanted a twist? I wrote more.
And they're like, what?
She's like, oh, yeah.
Bitch, I got you.
Uh-huh. Sit back, and let me tell you the tale of the bride of Frankenstein. We then travel to the end of the first movie, where an angry mob has
She didn't actually create this character, though, did she? This was just made for this movie.
Mary Shelley?
Yeah, she didn't make the bride.
Oh, the bride?
Yeah.
The bride is in the original story.
Oh, okay.
But it's like just a very small aspect of the original story.
Okay.
And yeah, there's this old windmill that has been burned where they thought they captured the monster inside of it.
Yeah.
And we also see they found the body of Henry, Dr. Frankenstein, which, if you don't know, maybe you don't know.
The monster is not Frankenstein.
Is not Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein's monster.
It's just...
He was made by Dr. Frankenstein.
Over time, people just assume it's kind of, I guess, a Mandela effect, but not as much. It's more just like, kind of how, like, people will call soda Coke. Or it's something like a
colloquialism.
It's a colloquialism, basically, where it's like...
Yeah, I think
people just kind of made like...
Well, and like the character the bride is made for the monster.
Yeah.
So
and she's
calling
called
the bride of Frankenstein maybe makes us think that his name is Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see Dr. Frankenstein, the man himself, his body's found, and they presume he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And we meet his maid, like his head maid, Miss Minnie,
She's amazing.
who camped it up.
She's great.
So they wanted to like make the first one really spooky. They had no intentions of like ever camping it out. But in the second movie, he was like, "Oh, I'm camping this up."
He's like, we're gonna have fun.
And this is like the first example of that, because this bitch, first of all, she's this crotchety old woman with like a Cockney accent. But she is right away so hype that they just burnt the monster down. She's like, burn that motherfucker down.
She's living her best life right now.
For this moment. And she just keeps bitching everybody out, and you can tell they're all tired of her ass. Like, but I love her.
Oh, yeah.
She's just queening out, and we learn that, she's Dr. Frankenstein's head maid and caretaker. We watch as his body is carried home, and then we see the parents of Maria, who, let me explain this to you, Stevie, because you've never seen the first one.
But I've seen this clip. I know what happened.
You've seen this
because
clip?
they talk about it. Frankenstein met the little girl, they were friends, they were hanging out, and he didn't know that she couldn't swim.
Yeah.
He throws her into the water. She drowns.
He drowns her accidentally, and that's how this whole thing started, and that's why people hate the monster, because they think he's like just a killer.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know any better. He's like a baby, because he's really cute, honestly. It's like, oh, BB, like,
Yeah,
let me
in like
help
a
you.
fucked up looking way.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the parents show up, and the husband is like, I want to see his blackened bones. Like, I want proof that he's dead. It's not enough. And the wife is like, no, like, it's not safe. We got to get out of here. He falls
into the wreckage. Yeah.
Into the water.
There's like a flooded kind of pit underneath the windmill. And the monster appears. This is the first time we see him. The makeup is so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
And there's a really cool thing you notice in the makeup. So he looks like he's burnt and his hair's like really like fucked up. Throughout the movie, he starts to heal.
I know, it's so cool. Doesn't his hair start to grow?
It grows back, too? And so it's like, which kind of suggests that he has like these regenerative powers.
Yeah,
where he like he heals he's much quicker than like
Michael Myers, kind of
basically. But that's like a really cool like makeup. Like it's all very intentional.
It's so cool. Like for the time, it's just so impressive. And he looks scary too, like in the way he's lit. He comes out through like the water and he starts to attack and drown the father, and then he crawls out, and then he throws the wife's ass into the pit too.
That's so funny because she like helps him. She's like, "Oh, it's you! Oh, let me get you!" And then she turns and sees Frankenstein, and he just chucks her. And what I love is and they need to bring this back because it's so funny. I love when the body double is clearly a rag doll.
Bring it back.
Because it's so funny to just see the ragdoll version of her just smack into like a pole and then just fall into the water.
And the best example of that is in the Halle Berry Catwoman, where it's, I believe, Sharon Stone who gets thrown off of the building by Halle Berry by accident or something. They're like, they had a show
at the end, yes. Oh, we need to rewatch that movie because it's good.
Oh my God.
Remember when we were like, oh, let's watch this. Let's get the second one. We were like, wait, what is this movie gonna eat?
It's kind of camp, honestly. I love it. She's like literally a Catwoman. It's so funny. But then Minnie is like chilling, and the Frankenstein comes up behind Minnie.
She's like,
her reaction is so funny. She's like so scared that she's like giddy about it. She's like, "Whoa, whoa."
And then she just runs off screaming.
She's like equally excited and like freaked the fuck out. And Dr. Frankenstein is hauled back into his house where we meet his concerned fiancée, Elizabeth, who's been recast from the first movie. Now she's a brunette. She dyed her hair in between the 2 hours that this movie took place.
Maybe she needed it done. Maybe she was like, blondes her out.
Yeah, she was like, look, something dramatic just happened. We're dying this shit. Yeah, I'm going dark. But she's serving glamour in this movie. Like, they did glam her up.
She is the definition. I don't know the actress's name, but she's the definition of like old Hollywood actress. Where she just kind of talks like this. Oh.
And I've got finger-waved hair, and I've got like a sequin gown on. Yeah. She has like a fur-lined gown that has like a really long train. It's
my husband.
My husband, Henry. She's always like, Henry.
No.
And I had to look this up because she keeps saying Henry. And I'm like, I thought the doctor's name was Victor Frankenstein. Bitch, they changed it for the movie. And it's the dumbest reason. They said that the name Victor was too scary. And they didn't want to scare people. So they changed. They went from Victor to Henry. Like, that made any difference. And that just made me laugh because I'm like, the olden days of what was considered for these movies.
And what was scary?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, y'all are scared of the name
funny.
Victor?
Apparently it would have freaked people out, according to, like, the guidelines were just crazy. And that's also a big factor into, like, how this movie got made and why it is the way it is. There's a lot of things that were shot and had to be, like, taken out because they were just so strict during this time about what they wanted to show. And, like, it just kind of, it affected a lot of the story, I think, and a lot of what goes on. But we'll get into it. So Minnie runs into town, and she tries to warn everybody that the monster's back, but they don't believe her ass because she's Minnie. Then, while they're all mourning the death of Dr. Frankenstein, she's looking at him, and she realizes that he's moving, and she freaks out again that he's alive.
And then he literally just wakes up.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's what I like about old movies, because nowadays, this would be 35 minutes of him being, like, dead.
Yeah, exactly.
But this movie's like, oh, you thought he was dead? No, he's not. He's alive. There you go.
He's just like, oh, hey, what's up?
And it's like, oh, we're good. And he's just kind of like, oh, no, I'm good.
And it's a very different performance than he gave in the first movie. In the first movie, he's so maniacal and just, crazy, what you think of when you think of Frankenstein. But in this movie, he's kind of learned his lesson. He's like, oh, I don't want to do this shit again.
Yeah.
So
he's chilled the fuck out.
He's a way more chill version than we got.
I mean, when you almost die.
Yeah. And he just wants to be with his glamorous fiance. And she's, like, taking care of him while he's bedridden. And he tells her, like, bitch, I'm not gonna lie, I just created a man. Like, that was crazy, right? And she's like, yeah, that was fucked up.
A little crazy.
She's like, that was blasphemous and dork-sided, and you should not do that again. And I also thought this was weird and dramatic of her to be like, and I've been hallucinating a shadowy figure that is taking you away from me. And he's right there. He's right there right now. I'm like, maybe we need to get Elizabeth checked out.
You're not the one to be giving advice right now.
Yeah. I was like, that sounds like Katie in Paranormal Activity 1. Like,
bitch, you're crazy.
Or possessed, but probably crazy. I would take either or. But there's a knock at the door, and we meet. Okay, so his character's name is Dr. Pretorius, but I'm going to call him Dr. Clitorius. Come on now. Like, the joke's right there. I'm going to go for it.
Real mature, Parker.
Low-hanging fruit.
Real mature.
But his name's Dr. Clitorius. Okay, so Dr. Clitorius shows up.
Oh my god.
Let's describe Dr. Clitorius. So he has middle part James Charles kind of twink hair. Do you know what I'm talking about? But, like, he's an old man, so it's like giving Silver Fox Daddy a little bit too. Kind of looks like if Troye Sivan was like a boomer generation a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Minnie describes him as a queer-looking fellow.
Oh, wow.
I know, which I thought, Minnie...
We call them faggots now, honey.
And she can say that. She can say it. But Dr. Clitorius confronts Frankenstein. And we learn that he was Frankenstein's old teacher who inspired Frankenstein to pursue his career in
as a
the
Frankenstein.
undead. Yeah. So, and this guy's clearly like wacko, crazy,
Wackadoodle.
evil. Yeah.
Wackadoodle.
He's like not even like mad scientist. He's like,
oh, you're just crazy.
Crazy
There's
scientist.
a lot of crazies in this movie.
Yeah. And he tells them that he was booted out from his teacher's post from knowing too much. Like, whatever that means. Okay. But I think this character is like is what people always bring up when they talk about the queerness of this movie. He says a lot of lines, if you watch this, that are just very radical ways of thinking. And they're kind of painting him as evil, but he also is just kind of fabulous and cunty, and kind of has to be the inspiration for Frankenfurter, I feel like. That's what because we just reviewed Rocky Horror last week, so I had that movie so on my mind.
Yeah.
But there's just so many like the mad scientist of it, the like him being so fabulous and posh, and like there's that undertone of him kind of being in love with Dr. Frankenstein and like wanting to like have a family with him of these like creatures. There's just stuff you can read into, I think. But I think it had to be like, you know, again, just allegory because of the times that we were living in, probably. But he says that he basically wants Frankenstein to help create life of his own, and threatens to like blackmail him with the knowledge that he was the one who created the monster and caused all the killings if Frankenstein doesn't comply and like work with him. And Frankenstein is basically like, I don't want to do that. I learned my lesson in the first movie.
Yeah. But
Dr. Clitorius is like, trust me, girl, you might want to come to my house and see what I've got cooking up. Because I'm cooking up some wild shit.
Yeah.
He goes to Dr. Clitorius's lab, and we see that he has a trunk full of tiny people, like doll-sized people.
This is the thing I was talking about. Like, this effect is so cool.
It's so good.
And when how I think they might have done it, I've not looked into it, so there's a lot of things they could have done. But I think what they probably did is they filmed the people in a way that, like, they did them, like, so that they were at that scale on the film, and then they probably just put the film on top of each other.
Layering film,
like layering.
Think?
That's what I think.
I think they probably did that too.
Because that would, I'm like, because you either do like, it's either an all black or an all white background. The way it's when you put it on the film, it's just gonna, the same background is just gonna be.
It's like genius.
It's just like it's like literally, it's just like 1935 people. Because like nowadays, it's like. Green screen. The answer's always green screen.
Exactly. Or CGI.
It's like also something where I'm like, you see like people on YouTube are doing that stuff. But it's like back then it's like, oh, that's like wild what they were doing.
That they were able to come up with that. Like their minds. They had the minds of masters.
Masterminds. Mastermind. What's that? I don't know, but they're just so
I'm so creative like that.
I have the mind of a master. I have the mind of a mastermind. What's that? I don't know, but I'm so creative like that.
So he has all these little tiny doll people. We see that he has a queen, a king, a bishop, the devil, who he modeled after his own image and style, and a ballerina.
Who, that actress, has 3 Olympic medals.
Shut up, really?
Yeah, I saw that in a little fun fact. I was looking up some facts about this movie, and that's one of the fun facts I saw. I think 2 gold, and then, I don't know for what it was, probably like, honestly, gymnastics or something, but...
I mean, I guess you could tell she's like built.
She has 3 gold medals. Like, that's cool. Great.
Yeah, that's awesome. She only knows one dance, though.
Yeah.
I can't remember what he said it was, but then there's also like a glamorous mermaid one too that he's made. He said that he used like seaweed extract. I was like, oh, is this the mermaid room?
The mermaid room. Oh, no, there's no mermaids in this room, but they call me the mermaid because I like to swim.
I like to call it the mermaid room, but the mermaids aren't painted on the walls yet. But people call me a mermaid because I like to swim.
Also, if you've never seen Mariah Carey's
MTV Cribs, watch it.
And don't know what we're talking about, you need to fucking watch it.
There's also, sorry, I'm going to give another suggestion on YouTube. Watch Victoria Beckham Coming to America.
Oh, we just watched that too. That was so good.
Can I get your signature, Miss Beckham? Of course.
Who do I make it out to?
Do you want me to make it out to somebody? Oh, you mean like an actual signature? I was embarrassed because I was wearing flats.
That's when I got arrested.
She got arrested, pulled over.
Yeah, that's camp. I love that. But yeah, really cool effects here. He's got these little people and they're like walking around and like doing shit, but he isn't able to make them on a life-size scale, he says. He's only been able to make
also their little voices, because they're like...
Animal Crossing.
They sound like little Animal Crossing characters.
Crossing. Frankenstein sees this and is like, I don't think this is science. This is black magic. Cue Black Magic by Little Mix. Take a sip, noisy potion. You know that song?
Yeah.
And the video, like, they give the girl a potion and it makes her fart.
I've seen that one.
Fun fact, it's wild.
Yeah, because they're like trying to get back at the girl.
yeah. She's like the bitch they hate. And they make her fart. And Dr. Clitorius does a cheers to a new world of gods and monsters. Cue Lana Del Rey, gods and monsters.
In the land of gods and monsters. She just got married.
Happy wedding.
She married
Lana.
the alligator guy.
Is she gonna work at the Waffle House again? That's what I want to know.
I hope so.
I like Waffle House, Lana.
Lana.
That's my favorite era. Waitress, white dress. And yeah, Lana Del Rey, Dr. Gligorius insists that Frankenstein help him build a female monster, a mate for Frankenstein's monster. We see the monster himself. He's out wandering in the woods. He gets by a river, and a milkmaid comes by. This is such a camp scene.
She gets spooked.
She like screams and falls into like the river, and then he like tries to like get her out, and she thinks that he's trying to attack her, and she keeps screaming. And I thought this was so camp of him being like, "Girl." Because he can't talk, but you know if he could, he'd be like, "Girl,
Shut up! I'm not trying to kill you!
girl,
Shut it!
girl."
They're gonna come after me!
He's doing that motion, like the throat slicing motion.
Yeah,
it's like,
like,
girl, just
shut up.
Shut up. So some
Zip
men
it.
run by, they heard, and they start shooting him with guns. And he runs, and they go to alert the rest of the town, who immediately form an angry mob, which this town's really good at, as we've seen.
They come together. I'm like, shit. These
Baby,
they must be French, because when it comes to like protesting, they're on it.
They become the mob from Beauty and the Beast.
They're like, oh, let's go.
Kill the beast.
French. They're French.
And they're French, yeah. Gaston.
Like, if there's one thing they know how to do, it's
form an angry mob. And the monster gets chased up a hill, and he throws a boulder on some guy, and then the mob overpowers him, and he's captured.
This is funny too. When his little jail stint.
Yeah.
What everyone in the comments, take a guess at how long you think Frankenstein stays in jail for.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not.
It does not take him long. Well, first they like symbolically crucify him. They like put him up on a pole. I'm sure like he had to do a lot of shit to like get past the censors on this one, but like he's hoisted up, and it literally looks like he's on the cross, and they start stoning him. So, and you know, he gets ridiculed, all that, because there's a lot of biblical symbolism in both of the movies, just in the story itself too, and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. But then they take him to a dungeon in the prison, and they chain him up to the electric chair.
Electric chair.
Electric chair.
Getting gawked at by the people in the window, including Miss Minnie. She's like, "Oh, what is going on down there?"
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, they got the monster." She is so funny.
She's living for it.
Living. And the monster immediately breaks from the chains.
Yeah.
He said, "Break free, Ariana Grande."
And then they're like, "Oh, unlock the door. You guys get in there."
Yeah, and he just like breaks out. And the mayor is literally outside being like, "Everything's under control.
He's in jail. We're good." Meanwhile, Frankenstein just comes right out, and everyone's
Barges
like,
starts running around and like causing chaos.
and I'm like, wait, y'all had no trouble getting him that first time.
Right. All of a sudden.
Now all of a sudden y'all are scared again?
Now. Yeah, exactly. We see people trying to escape, and the monster pops out, and it's like this caravan of people that have like a roasted turkey or roasted chicken or something, and he like attacks them and tries to get a piece of the chicken, burns his fingers on the
too hot.
stove or whatever. So then he's all sad, and he wanders around, and then we get my favorite scene in the movie. He finds a cottage where this old man we see is playing Ave Maria
On the violin.
and we see that he is this blind man, and the monster is listening.
Wow, that was a little insensitive.
What should I?
We see it's a blind man. Wow, why didn't you just rub it in? Fucking ass.
Fuck. So the monster's listening to this, and Ave Maria is just so beautiful that he gets choked up.
Oh, and the old man like hears him.
Yeah, well, he just walks into the old man's house at first, like, "Hey, I'm here," and
He's like, "Who?"
the old man is like,
Who's there?
"Oh, who's there? Are you a friend of mine? Come in." Like, and he's like the nicest guy ever.
Yeah. And then he kind
Sweetest
of
old
realizes
man.
that the monster can't talk. So then he starts teaching him some words.
No, it's so cute. He gives him food.
Yeah.
He gives him a place to sleep and like rest his head. There's the scene where he like does a really long prayer for him, and it's like cheesy, but in such a great way.
Yeah.
I love it. He's so sweet. And the monster has never had like anyone be affectionate or show him any compassion at all. And it's so ironic that this blind man, and he's like, oh, well, you must be afflicted too. Like, let's grow together.
Yeah.
It's so sweet. Like, if it wasn't so over the top corny, it would make me like tear up a little
Yeah,
bit.
but it's like, oh my fucking god, that's so corny.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
amazing.
It's amazing. We cut to some time later, and we see that the man has taught the monster basic speech and had a smoke, bitch. I thought this was funny. Smoke. Good.
Because if there's one thing you gotta know how to do, it's smoke, baby.
It's smoke, honey. He said if it ain't green, I'm not interested.
Okay.
And the monster does not like fire.
No. The old man kind of says, and I kind of do like this. He says, like, no, fire's good. And then he kind of goes, and then Frankenstein's like, no, fire bad. And he says, there's good and there's bad in everything. Which is kind of like
cute, yeah.
Which I think is like a very much like, I guess if we're gonna take anything away from this movie,
The moral,
the moral is like it really is good and there's bad in everything.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing is obviously like they're afraid of him because he's the unknown.
Yeah.
There's another like queer
there's
metaphor.
a fear of the unknown. Because that's the other thing. The blind man isn't afraid of him. Because they're all just afraid of the sight of him. But it's like if you take the time to get to know him, he's really nice.
chill. He's a sweetheart, honestly. And yeah, that's a huge like reading too. He just wants to be loved. He just wants to be with. At the end of the story, he wants to be with someone like him.
Yeah.
And just wants to be loved together. And society can't handle that because they don't know what he is. So yeah, that's all very apparent here.
But then,
Some lost villagers come by to ask for directions. And they identify him as the monster.
Like,
and they
Bigfoot's
like
the monster.
expose him in front of his bestie. And they like a fire is started because they are chasing him around. And it's so sad they like take his best friend away from him. And the monster is so sad and goes and runs to a cemetery and pushes over a religious statue, which apparently this was supposed to be the statue of Jesus on the cross that he was supposed to knock over. But the censors were like, abso-fucking-lutely not. So they got away with it by having him push over a bishop statue. But then Jesus on the cross is literally right behind it in the background the whole time. So that's how, I mean... Because this is all a metaphor for the church at the end of the day.
yeah.
The angry mob is the church. So he's like denouncing that. And he runs into a tomb and is escaping from the mob. And who should appear but Dr. Clitorius with some cronies. And they're looking through the tombs trying to find a young woman whose body they can use to make the bride. Dr. Clitorius lingers behind and... I'm sorry. I can't not. Once it came into my mind that his name was Dr. Clitorius, I was like, that's your name. Like, I can't call him his real name because it's Dr. Clitorius.
Go on.
But he's
Just
like,
go on.
he's like, oh, I rather like this place. Like, big titty goth girlfriend vibes. He's like... like, this is fun down here. And so, like, the cronies leave him. But then he's approached by the monster. And Dr. Clitorius is, like, actually super chill
Yeah,
when
say, hey, what's up?
he sees him. He's like, girl, let's sit down. Let's smoke together. And they start smoking and talking shit. And
Dream blunt rotation.
dream blunt rotation.
Frankenstein's monster and Dr.
Clitorius. And he goes, girl, do you know, like, who you are? And, like, who Dr. Frankenstein is? Like, do you know that you're, like, famous? And the monster literally is like, yes, made me from dead better, hate living. And Dr. Clitorius is like, girl, like, preach it.
No, yeah, he's like, the young are so wise.
Wise,
And
yeah.
He's like, the young are so wise. Like, something like that.
It's really
he's like,
funny.
The younger generation are so wise.
Yes.
And I'm like, wow.
Relatable.
Because he's straight up like, I'm over it.
Yeah. And he says, guess what? I'm making you a bride friend for you. And he's like, friend. So Dr. Clitorius goes to Frankenstein's house.
Like, they team up.
Let's work together. Yeah. First of all, he shows up and Elizabeth, her ass starts bitching him out. But Dr. Clitorius is like, no, let me talk to Frankenstein one-on-one. Like, you can leave. And he brings out the monster. That was spooky. It's like storming. And the monster comes out, and Frankenstein is like, oh shit, like, I don't want to deal with this. No, take him away. He does not want to face his creature. And then he's like, okay, fine, you don't want to help us? Monster, you can go. And the monster leaves, but then we see the monster sneak into Miss Elizabeth's room and kidnaps her.
Yep.
And so they're basically threatening Frankenstein, like, if you don't help us, we have your wife, we're going to kill her.
Yeah.
So he has to agree reluctantly, and we get the whole, like,
montage of them making the monster,
which goes on a little too long, I thought. Like, I know they're trying to, like, the creation of life and all that stuff. But this is kind of the part in the movie where I'm like, okay, maybe I can go, get a snack or go piss girl really quick.
Yeah.
But they realize that the heart is not effective, the one that they have. So they send one of Dr. Clitorius's cronies to steal a new one. And the new one works great. And Frankenstein's like, oh, where'd you get it? And the implication here is that they just killed some random girl to get the heart. So, like, there's even more lives being lost to the creation of the monster. Yeah. And the monster starts getting impatient. Like, where's my bride?
Yeah. Y'all promised me.
I'm waiting.
My bride. Hello?
Yeah.
I Amazon Primed her.
I Amazon Primed a fucking bride.
Where is she? It's been 2 days.
Yeah. And Dr. Clitorius is like, here, girl, let's just get you drunk. And gets him so drunk that he passes out. We then see them work on the bride some more. And she's ready, okay? They prepare her to be zapped. Just like the monster was zapped in the first movie. To reanimate.
Like with thunder, or lightning. Sorry, lightning. Thunder's the noise.
We get the whole sequence of her being reanimated. And this time, they use a device which is attached to these, like, kites that channel an extra powerful zap this time. But during the process, the monster is like, wakes up and is like so impatient that he goes out and goes on a killing rage and kills both cronies upstairs, trying to like interfere with the whole thing.
Which I'm okay with.
Which is fine.
Because we get a funny ragdoll moment again.
There was another Sharon Stone ragdoll.
When one of the cronies gets thrown off the castle.
Bring back ragdolls, y'all.
Bring them back.
Body doubles.
Remember when you would watch like a Disney Channel show and you could see Raven Baxter just get like flung across the set?
But yes, then the process is done. The bride is ready, and they bring her down, and they begin to remove her wrappings. We see her eyes open, and he goes, "She's alive!"
And then it just immediately cuts to her fully unbandaged.
Oh, they raise her up, and then it's like, reveal.
And we get her iconic,
she looks
like,
so
hair.
Cunty.
And this actress, it's the same actress that played Mary
Shelley
in the
Elsa Lanchester.
And
she eats.
She was inspired, her movements for this character were inspired by birds.
Yeah. She looks like a freaked out bird, like her head is like jolting all around. Like
and then the way they did her hair is it's like a wire cage.
Oh, to get that shape. Yeah. Yeah, this is cool. Also, like, we just got out of Rocky Horror, and Magenta literally has the Bride of Frankenstein hair.
Yeah.
At the end of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this hair is just so iconic. And then the white stripes going up.
I mean, it's a Halloween, like, staple. So many, like, shows.
One of the most iconic
and movies have referenced this hair.
Ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's barely in this movie.
Y'all, when she appears, there's like 3 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah.
Just so you all know.
Yeah.
Just so you all know.
She just shows up at the end here.
This was not... The Bride of Frankenstein was like last minute title. Because all
Yeah.
throughout production, it was called like Frankenstein Returns or something
Returns,
like that.
I
The
think.
Return of Frankenstein. It was not anything.
Frankenstein 2 Electric Boogaloo. Now that.
I mean, that fits. There's a lot in this.
Definitely. But yeah, she moves in this bird-like way. She does not speak. She's looking left and
She
right.
kind of hisses. She just hisses.
Well, yeah, the monster reaches out to her and is like, friend? And she screams. That's the first thing she does, is she like lets out a big scream. And then she like cowers away from him. And he gets pissed. He tries to sit next to her and hold her hand again. And she screams again. Like, get this bitch away from me. I don't like you. And he goes, she hates me. Now, baby, this is where I'm like,
And now
he's a straight man, because it's like, you got to get to know her.
As soon as he gets rejected, he goes on a fucking killing spree. Another one.
Yeah.
He ain't done.
He gets into this frenzy, and he barely lets Dr. Frankenstein and Elizabeth get away. I can't remember. Where does Dr. Clitorius go? Does he die? I don't know.
He stays there.
He's
there the whole time.
He's up in there. Okay, so it's him, Dr. Clitorius, and his bride, and he goes up and he has
Because
a
he's
switch.
freaking out, and they're like, oh my god, don't hit that switch. You'll blow us all up. They never really explain the switch.
right. I guess it's just triggered to explain.
And then, so then he knows he can kill them all.
Uh-huh.
So then he's like, he tells Frankenstein and Elizabeth, he's like, you live, me, we stay, we
belong dead.
We belong dead. Or so, yeah, whatever. That's what he said.
And he pulls a lever to activate the explosion. Right as he does, and the bride sees it, she just hisses, and it's really cunty.
Yeah, and
it's
then,
very beige swan. If I do say so myself.
Because they actually hiss.
They actually hiss. So
I'm a method actress. Thank you, Morgan Michaels.
Morgan, honey, are you loving the hissing? Is there something funnier? Swan noise. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
They only actually hiss. That's if humans come near them.
Oh wow, you are method.
and she's just hissing, and there's this big explosion. And the end, because this is
Literally,
an old movie.
That's it.
Yeah.
It just goes, we see Elizabeth and Frankenstein looking at the castle, and then it just goes, the end, with like this cheery music.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
That's how all old movies are. It's crazy. It's so weird.
It's just like, wait, that just happened.
I rewatched the Phantom of the Opera silent movie, and that's the same way that movie ends. It's like the Phantom gets taken out, like they defeat the enemy, whatever, and then it's like roll credits.
They're like, that's it? That's the end?
Yeah,
It's like, oh.
interesting. Nowadays, there'd be a whole resolution. Honestly, I kind of like, it's over.
Yeah, no.
That's it.
That's it, get out.
That is definitely
oh.
something I appreciate, about the old movies, is they were much shorter, and that was nice. But yeah, that's The Bride of Frankenstein. Much to take away from such a short, simple story, but it's a classic. It had a lot of layers. I like this movie a lot. I think it's one of the earliest campy movies I've seen.
Yeah.
Like, truly, this movie feels like more self-aware.
Yeah.
And that's hard to find in like an older movie when they were just so
serious,
earnest with everything they did back then. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so we are going to do Ginger Snaps next week. So brush up on your werewolf lore, because it's a werewolf movie. And I think it's the cuntiest werewolf movie. So.
More than New Moon?
Oh, wait. New Moon Eats, though. You know what? It's tied with New Moon as the cuntiest werewolf movie. Ginger Snaps, honey. Okay, so we thank you so much for joining us on our first spooky episode of Let's Scream. We hope you had a fun time with us in Frankenstein's laboratory. Castle. Please remember to follow the pod, like the pod, and leave a glowing review of the pod, of course. And you can also send us movie requests for future episodes. You can follow me at Parker_Will_C.
And you can follow me at StevieNash95 on Instagram.
Oh, and I forgot to say, the pod handle is at Let's Scream Pod.
On literally everything.
Literally everything. All right, until next time, this has been
Let's Scream.
Bye.